transparency, last year I looked at, I did a report a couple weeks ago. We did $150,000 worth of rework last year, meaning work that I got on site and wasn't happy with, or the guys screwed something up, or strictly self-perform. And that's a huge nut. That's a big dollar value. Oh yeah. And it's, and it's just rework, and it's, maybe we could have let some of that stuff fly, but that's just not who I am. That's not who we are. And that's where it's, it makes me question, where it's like, man, does it really make sense to have everyone on staff? Like, does this, what would have happened if it was a subcontractor? Would the subcontractor have billed me for additional time? Probably. But, but all of it, or would a good portion of it have been, a quality thing where it's like, hey, you understand our quality, you need to rip that out and do it again. And when, a subcontractor's on the hook, there is this financial aspect to it, where an employee, there is no financial repercussion there. It's, it sucks, and they don't feel good about ripping it out. And I have learned to navigate that conversation in a way where I'm not, hey, you suck, like, you got to do that again. I'm trying to help them improve, right? Hey, I'm giving you this opportunity to, like, rethink the way you did that, and let's do that again. But they're still getting they get paid again. They're getting paid to rip it out, and they're getting paid to put it back in. And it's a matter of catching things, early enough, where oftentimes I feel as though, especially with newer guys, it's something gets done and they're probably like, I guess that's good enough. And then it gets installed, and then it gets plastered, and then I show up on site and I see it, and I'm like, that access panel is an 1/8 inch too small. It's like, oh yeah, but it's not. I'm like, rip it out. And they're like, what? And it's like $700 access panel. It's going to be buried behind a sofa, but it just doesn't fly. Like, that's just, we've set out to be really, really good. And we're only going to get really, really good is if we hold ourselves accountable every single time. Not allow the mediocrity to slip in here and there, because it will just continue to slip.
That philosophy, I think that, it shows a lot about you as a person, Nick, and just the brand you're building. I think that's what makes Endless Builders who you are. I just, I think about it from my side. Even we do a hybrid. We do cost plus. We do lump sum. It's both. It's really, our market's kind of all over. And it really depends on the price point too, really on the really high end, real expensive homes that we're doing. They typically are cost plus for a lot of reasons. They're incredibly complex. There's, as much as we try to have decisions, are open-ended. But at the end of the day, even on a cost plus, there are legitimate things that I can't charge the customer for, right? And I know that going in. Like, even though my fee's locked, whether it was neglect on our side or mismanagement, or we didn't manage the schedule properly and things were installed before they should have been, and you have to rip stuff out to put it back in. I look at that too. I'm tracking that. I'm tracking, well, what are my costs associated with these things that we're not properly managing? What is the warranty? As I've come back, even though our trades have warranties and we do, and we follow that, and, there's going to be things we do that are extras and courtesies, and warranties pass, we're going to cover it. So there's always those costs, right? As your tail gets longer. And then, as you mentioned, that element of, like I have right now, we have a ceiling that just was not turning out. Like, it was part framers, part drywall, part painter, and we ended up redoing the ceiling 4 times, right? So frustrating. And then everyone's like, well, the drywall wants to get paid, the painter wants to get paid, the framer doesn't want to get back charged. And it's hard to point blame, and you got to eat some of these costs now. And then some of the cabinetry got damaged because 4 times we have drywallers in there and painters. And so these costs add up, and, it's really hard to track that. I think that's one of my biggest struggles, is how do we accumulate enough revenue to have a kiddie fund, if you will, to take care of some of the stuff, so it's not costing the job and our bottom line at the end of the day. And then I mean, it's just when you share that example of it doesn't meet my quality, and then we also are maybe buying some new base and case and restaining it and putting it in. It's just it's a whole nother level.
It sucks. It's, you know, and it's tough too, because I'm like I said early on, I'm pretty good with just making a decision on the fly. And, you know, there's been a few times where I see something, I know it's wrong, I think I'm gonna let it go, I go home, I don't sleep, and then I show up on the job site the next morning and they're like, oh, we're ripping that out. Okay, that's why you're here, right?